water is a very extraordinary substance, and one that we often take for granted. It's the most common and most important liquid on Earth. Essential for life. I think everybody knows that. Without water, you're going to die. But it has some very strange chemical properties. It has a low molar mass, but it's a liquid at room temperature. And that's due to hydrogen bonding, those really strong intermolecular forces. It's the main solvent in living organisms and in our environment. Pretty much any liquid substance you can think of, most of those are aqueous solutions, right? It has a really, really high specific heat capacity. It also has a high heat of vaporization and fusion, and so that moderates climates. And another weird thing about it is it expands upon freezing. Most things contract when they freeze, but water expands. And so that's what's causing an effect that you might see in your refrigerator. If your lettuce is in a part of the refrigerator that's a little too cold, or if you're silly enough to put your lettuce in the freezer, you pull it out later, it's nasty. And if you have sensitive plants outside in a frost, they just turn to mush overnight. Because as those cells freeze, the water expands and it breaks the cell walls and just completely kills the thing. I'm not going to test you on pollution, water pollution at all, but I do want to just mention this to you. There are two types of water pollution. One is biological and one is chemical. Biological contaminants are different microorganisms that can cause diseases. And those are typically going to get into drinking water if there's human or animal waste that's dumped into bodies of water. So, you really should not be drinking from a stream that's downstream of a cow pasture, right? Because the runoff gets into the stream, and you might be okay, but then you could also, die of dysentery on the way to Oregon, right? On the Oregon Trail. Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? Biological contaminants, though, are actually relatively easy to take care of. You can boil the water, you can treat it chemically with bleach or iodine or other sanitizing agents. Chemical contaminants, though, are going to come from industrial and household dumping. So, you're changing the radiator fluid in your car, and instead of disposing of it properly, you just dump it in the gutter and let it run down into the river. Okay, you just contaminated the river with ethylene glycol. Not a good idea. Pesticide and fertilizer use, it runs off, it gets into the water. You can't boil these things away. Most of them are non-volatile, and so they're not going to boil away. They're not alive, so you can't kill them. And so they would need to be filtered out, which is a lot more complicated than just killing microorganisms. Any questions?